First of all, try to understand what happiness is. In fact, happiness depends on the level of consciousness of every individual. Happiness has got different meanings to different persons because different people are living at different levels of consciousness. A man who is fast asleep, for him the pleasures of the body, the physical pleasures, are very important, and the satisfaction of those physical pleasures itself becomes happiness. For them, sensations of the body become happiness. In other words, if a person is fast asleep, his consciousness is confined to his body, then the fulfillment of the requirements of the body itself becomes very important, and at that level, the requirement of food, the requirement of sex and the requirement of sleep are the most dominant requirements, and their fulfillment becomes happiness. This is in a way animalistic. If such a person happens to repress his requirement of food, then he becomes addicted to sex, and if he represses sex, he becomes addicted to food. But essentially, it is only the satisfaction of the physical requirements, the fulfillment of the physical requirements that matters everything to them. Just a very short story in this regard. One young man goes for his first date with a beautiful young lady, and in order to have good time with the lady, he proposes some beautiful ideas to spend time. He proposes to take her to lunch in a very famous restaurant. She refuses. Then he proposes for taking her to a movie. That too she declines. And now the young man was thinking some other ways to make her feel good and to have a good time with her. And meanwhile he offers her a cigarette. That too she declines. Thinking a little more, he proposes to take her to a new disco for dance and drink so that they could have good time with each other. But that too she refuses. In utter desperation, the young man proposes to the lady to stay for one night for love making with her in his own apartment. To his utter surprise, the beautiful lady kisses him passionately and enthusiastically agrees for the same. And at the same time she says, for having good time, those other things which you proposed are useless, are of no meaning, such things are futile. The message is clear. If somebody is living and surviving with consciousness at the physical level, at the bodily level, then sex and food are the ultimate requirements and they become happiness. And then there are other categories of people with different levels of consciousness. Some are partly awake, the others are partly asleep. In other words, not fully awake, not fully asleep. And then the final category of those who are fully awake, fully aware, fully conscious. To understand the different types, 4 words are very important. One is pleasure, the other is happiness, the third is joy, and the fourth is bliss. As I explained earlier, the persons who are living with consciousness at their physical level, for them, pleasures of the body are happiness. And then there are others whose consciousness is confined to their psychological level, the mental level. Their sweetness of feelings can be described as happiness. Happiness is related to the sweetness at the psychological level. It is slightly better than pleasure. It includes situations of being creative, being a poet, being a painter, a sculptor, a musician. The third word is joy. Joy means the spiritual dimension of fulfillment. And finally, the bliss. Bliss is total. There are no divisions in it. It is indivisible. In bliss, the concept of pleasure, happiness, and joy all is covered. This is the ultimate state, and that is what is the target of all the spiritual endeavors of people on this earth. In the Dhammapad, Lord Buddha says there is pleasure and there is bliss. Forgo the first to possess the second. In this way, he uses only two words, pleasure and bliss. Pleasure includes happiness and bliss includes joy. According to Buddha, bliss is the ultimate state. It is being at the innermost core of your existence. It is a state of total consciousness where there is not the slightest corner of your being in the dark. Now you are fully awake at every level, the physical level, the psychological level, the spiritual level, and at the very consciousness level, you are at the peak of being. This means you have achieved a state of oneness with the existence. And that is the state of nirvana, the ultimate object of all our human endeavors. Now a few important things about pleasure and bliss. Pleasure comes and pleasure goes, but bliss never comes and never goes. It may sound difficult for you to understand, but the basic point of understanding is that bliss is our original nature. So bliss was not invented. Bliss has got to be just discovered. And once it is discovered, you become the master of your own self. In the East, ultimate truth has been defined as Satchidanand. Sat means truth, which shows that the reality is eternal. Chit means consciousness, awareness, and it refers to that state in which there is only light. No corner of your being is dark or unconscious. And the third is Anand, which means bliss. And this is your innermost nature. That is Anand. In this way, truth, consciousness, and bliss are the three faces of the ultimate reality. They are the three dimensions of the ultimate reality. And this is the real Trinity, not that which Christianity explains as God the Father, Son, Jesus Christ, and then the Holy Ghost. Even the Trinity described in the form of Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh is also only symbolic. And these trinities are meant for the beginners, for the laymen, those who don't have the real understanding of the ultimate truth. On the basis of my own experience and authority, I have to tell you that sacrifice everything for the experience of ultimate reality. There is nothing worth aspiring for except this experience of the ultimate reality. Forgo everything that you have been treating as important, significant, or essential for this life. Whatever you may be trying to achieve, all those things can offer you simply a bit of comfort for living on this earth. But if you remain confined only to that, your coming on the planet as a human being, the great opportunity which you have achieved as a human being, will be wasted. Therefore, please do focus all your energies on experiencing the dimensions of this ultimate reality that we call Satchidanand, the truth, the consciousness and the bliss. And the fundamental reason behind what I am telling you is that it is only through this that you can feel contented, that you can feel fulfilled. Otherwise, your whole life will be wasted, and in this life you will not be able to experience contentment. In this life, you will not be able to attain fulfillment. You have come empty handed on this planet, and you will have to go empty handed from this planet. Quite many years of your life have already gone. A few years are still remaining, and these years are offering you a great opportunity to experience the godliness within you. Don't spoil your energy in accumulating worldly properties. Don't waste in trying to dominate others, and don't waste in trying to be number one in this thing or in that thing. Whatever you do, whatever you can manage to do on this planet, everything is like trying a line on the waters. In other words, whatever you may go on doing, but everything will be ultimately reduced to nothing. It's going to leave no impact, no imprint on this planet. So why to waste it for something which is meaningless, which is mere stupidity and nonsense? Real education will not teach you to compete, but it will teach you to cooperate. It will not teach you to come first. It will teach you to draw out the best from within yourself. It will certainly teach you to be creative, to be loving, and to be progressing without competing with others. And I want to tell you that you can't be happy by standing first in any dimension of your life. For trying to stand out first in any dimension of your life, you will have to pass through such a great misery that by the time you manage to stand out to be first, you will become habituated to live your days and nights in misery. In other words, you will be accustomed to live and breathe in misery. And in the process, misery will become so deeply rooted within you that it will be difficult, rather impossible, to get rid of all the misery that you have accumulated, that you have become accustomed to. And ultimately, freedom from misery will become impossible for you. I can never ask you to involve yourself in a rat race for getting number one in any field of your life. I will simply tell you that you must involve yourself with all your totality in whatever you are doing. Focus on the act itself, never focus on the result. This will make you absolutely involved with the act, and the result will automatically follow. And then the pains and pangs of overthinking about the result will remain totally away from you. For example, as a painter, you can paint in two ways. First, you may start painting with a view to competing with others and with the objective of becoming the greatest painter of this world, like Picasso or Van Gogh. But if you start painting like this, you will find that your focus has gone to becoming the number one painter, the greatest painter of the world. And in this process, you will not be able to have absolute involvement with the act of painting. The act of painting will receive secondary importance, and with secondary importance to painting, how can you go deeper and deeper into the art of painting? Your heart will not go deeper into the painting. Your heart will be largely involved in being the number one in the world, in being Picasso or in being Van Gogh. While painting, you should pour all your energies into it. You should do this act of painting with all your totality into it. And it is only the painting in which all your energies must start flowing. Start flowing in totality into the painting. Just become a hand of this existence. Always remember my words. Nothing is ever created by you. Everything is always created through you. So let there be absolute involvement in the act so that the existence can flow through you. And if the existence flows through you, only then this extraordinary painting can be born. Let existence do everything through you and stop creating the hindrance. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Karmaneva adhikaraste ma phalesu kadachan, which means action alone is thy concern, not its consequences. There is a great truth in this message, and this is a message of tremendous beauty and significance. Krishna says, don't think of the result of the act at all. Do the act with all your totality. Dissolve the doer into the act itself, so that the doer is no more there. And this absolute involvement with the act, losing yourself totally into the act, will ensure that the existence has started acting through you. You will become the hands of this existence, and when existence starts doing it, the act will be a great joy for you, and without even caring for the consequences, I can guarantee on my own authority that the consequences will be bound to follow. And at the same time, it will have the imprint and the impact of the eternal on it. Thank you.